Hello, it is I, Gomi, and we're going to be going over UFC 282. The card had finished, and we're going to be looking at it, and man, such a good card that just fizzled and faltered at the end, unfortunately. It was shaping up to be the best card of the year, and it just died out with some very questionable practices on the judges' part, but we'll get into that. First, let's briefly go over the early prelims and prelims. Bantamweight had a really good fight between Cameron Simon and Steven Koslow. Cameron ended up getting the knockout right at the start of round 3. And then we had a featherweight bout between TJ Brown and Eric Silva. We had a submission in round 3 for TJ Brown. Billy Quarantino versus Alexander Hernandez. Very good fight. Very good back and forth fight. Round 2 knockout for Quarantino. And that capped off the early prelims. Then look at the prelims. We had good old Chris Curtis versus Joaquin Buckley. I had picked Buckley in this fight, but Curtis had got the job done in round 2 with a finish. A really good fight. Not the fight, though, that we expected. Middleweight, Edmund Shabazian took on Dulce. I'm not even going to try. Knocked him out round 2. Another banger. I don't know if you're noticing the pattern, but everything's a finish. Has Jardinho Rosenstruck or Jazarino Frozenstruck decided to unfreeze himself and get that round 1 knockout in 23 seconds, taking out Chris Daukaus. Honestly, not good for Chris Daukaus. He is now 12-6. I don't know. It's not looking good for either of the Daukaus brothers. They are getting knocked out left and right. Raul Rosas Jr., the youngest fighter in the UFC, got a round 1 submission. I did not like how cocky he was going into this. I kind of like Jay Perrin mainly just for his tattoos because he's a huge weeb. It doesn't matter. Raul has talent and he took him out, dispatched him very easily. He's going to go far. Will he be a champion one day? But he will definitely probably be a title contender in the future. And that ended the prelims. Then we go into the main card. Starting off with Bryce Mitchell versus Ilia Topuria. Ilia Topuria ran through Mitchell. I thought Mitchell was going to have more for him, to be honest with you. I picked Ilia. The fight went how I said, but to more of an extreme. Ilia, he just ran through him in the striking. And then in the ground, he just ran through him, honestly, because of the damage from the striking. I'm going to talk more at lengths about this fight now that we're into the main card. But man, that was a solid showing by Ilia. Showed him to be a monster. His jabs were on point. His hooks were on point. He was landing really good right straights. He really didn't have a good kicking game. He honestly, I don't even know if he threw a kick, to be perfectly honest with you. But that was just so impressive on his end. Landing a really good clip of 52% of his significant strikes, landing 57% of his total strikes, denying almost all of Bryce Mitchell's takedowns. Bryce Mitchell was 1 for 9 in takedowns. Ilia knocked him down, got him down to the ground, and the commentary team, I believe it was DC, was saying, why is he following an amazing grappler like Bryce Mitchell to the ground? I wonder, did DC forget that Ilia's an insane grappler? Did he forget how good of a grappler was and how Ilia made most of his career grappling, and it wasn't until UFC that he just found his hands and decided to knock people out, most of his wins being by submission? I think DC should watch my breakdown videos because I knew that. I knew once it went to the ground, Ilia had hurt Bryce Mitchell. Mitchell had the better grappling, but he was too hurt to capitalize on that, and Ilia was able to get him out with that beautiful arm triangle, and that was just all she wrote. Then going to the next fight, a middleweight fight between Darren Till and Dricus Duplessis. Oh, and that is the end of Till, as I also called. I had a knockout. It was a submission. Dricus Duplessis almost got that knockout round 1. Darren Till was saying, I'm fine. Don't stop the fight. It was 60 strikes to 0 for Till in that first round. Overall, Dricus threw 200 strikes, 197, landed 59%, 86% significant strikes, 6 for 6 on takedowns. It was just annihilation for Till, but he did get a little bit of a second win at the end of the first round and for most of the second because Dricus was too tired. But then Till became too tired or injured. Something was wrong with his knee. I believe he said his ACL was torn, and that's all Dricus needed to finish it. Going next to a catchweight belt between Santiago Ponzinibbio and Alex Morono. I did not go over this fight in my breakdown videos. I did have in my bet video, which, by the way, I hope you looked at that, because you would have made some decent money if you looked at it. I felt Ponzinibbio was going to win just due to the fact that it was a catchweight. It was last minute for Moreno. I leaned more towards Santiago, but Santiago actually struggled with the speed and accuracy of Morono. It was actually a pretty good fight, but eventually Santiago found the right shot he needed to initiate the finish, and he was able to get him with a nice knockdown and finish him. I know Alex protested saying it was a little bit of an early stoppage, but he was going to get flatline KO'd, honestly. Santiago got that round 3 TKO. That was also a pretty good fight, but a little slow at the start. Paddy versus Jared Gordon, our co-main, and this is the start of the Scheißer of the card. This is the start of it, because every fight in the card was a finish. Almost all of them were just exciting. Like, only the Santiago fight dragged to the start, but otherwise they were all exciting, great. Paddy started out his fight against Jared Gordon pretty solid, slower but good. A lot of really accurate strikes. Both guys were throwing heat. Jared Gordon had really good money for those hooks and those straight jabs, while Paddy, he was throwing a lot of volume. He threw more shots overall. But Jared Gordon landed more shots. He landed more shots than Paddy had landed, despite throwing less. So he was the more accurate striker, landing 69.9% of his strikes. He was 3 for 6 on takedowns, but Paddy didn't have a single takedown. He was 0-3, and he had 6 minutes of control time, Jared Gordon did. Yet, this is a thing. It was a decision. Jared Gordon honestly hugged the life out of Paddy and really did not initiate or really try to win. He didn't try to defeat Paddy. He tried to just win on the judge's scorecard. I hate that. Whatever the case is, Jared Gordon won. I had money on Paddy, and I'm saying this. Jared Gordon should have won that fight. But we're going to get into this a little bit more once I talk about it, but we're going to get into it, trust me. Overall, it was not the best fight. It's not the worst fight of the year, not even top 10 worst fight of the year, but it was not that exciting overall. It was okay first 2 rounds. The third round was boring, and it's just a baffling decision. Now to the main event of the evening. Jan Blachowicz versus Magomed Ankalaev. What was this? A draw. It was a draw. This was a draw in a main event, which has happened before. But the thing is, when those happened, there was already a champion, and the belt would go to the champion, i.e. Figueiredo Moreno won. Wonderboy Woodley won. Why did we do that when it was a title fight for a vacant title? How was this a draw? Going over the fight. So the fight started out, Magomed, I think, had better combinations at the very start, but then Jan Blachowicz started running in shin to shin with his kicks. And Jan had more confidence in him having the stronger shins, and he did. Pieced up Magomed's calves, his legs. It was done. His fight, he was fighting out of the southpaw stance, so his right leg was done. Come third, I think he won barely the first round. I'll give him second, but again, barely. But then he started to piece up Magomed's rear leg too, and he had to swap to orthodox, which Magomed was good at fighting both stances, but still, he took out both his legs with those kicks. Those kicks were money, so Magomed learned what he needed to do, which was take Jan down. I thought Jan had better ground game than that. His ground game was so poor. So poor. He was so content with bottom position. He only occasionally would throw up a triangle. He really did not do any butterfly guards. He really didn't push on the hips other till the very end of round 5. And that really was a problem for Jan. And honestly, he got 10-8'd the last 2 rounds. I think that was a 10-8. Magomed overall had 312 strikes thrown. He landed 191 of those at a 61% clip. Jan Blachowicz landed 79 strikes on a 141% clip. On a 141, so 56% clip. And then Magomed had 2 out of 10 takedowns. Jan had nothing. And they didn't even credit any submission attempts for Jan, even though I swear he tried like a leg lock, but Magomed just had plenty of control time. That was his fight. Magomed said it was his fight. Jan Blachowicz said it was his fight. The judges drew, which is what is going to be getting into what I think the UFC judges have a new agenda for. I don't think there was an agenda for Paddy to win. I don't think there was an agenda to punish both Jan or Magomed. What I think it is, their agenda to punish how Magomed and Jared Gordon fought. I think I'm going to make a breakdown video of this specifically, but I think both fighters were punished for just like hugging their opponents and not really going for a finish. Magomed really did not go for a finish in the end. He just went to win on control and win on points. Gordon went to win on points. And I feel the UFC punished them and saw whatever way possible they could do to squeeze out something not in their favor. Because, like, there's no reasonable way they could have given Jan the victory, so they drew it. Paddy, you could argue he threw more. He didn't land more, but he threw more. And I feel that's what the UFC was going for. I feel that's what they did. Regardless, Sal D'Amato, awful judge. That was such... The last 2 fights really soured it, because that's the thing. A wise man I used to watch a lot of videos on, I still do, said the ending is paramount. And while that was related to like movies, TV shows, anime, stuff like that, it also falls true with sporting events or main events like this. Because you had such a good card. It was shaping up to be the best card of the year, even better than 281, even better than the first UFC London, better UFC Orlando. Those 3 cards were the best 3 cards of the year. This one was going to beat it, and I feel it's the 4th best. But it lacked because of the last fights. Like, I will say there were also boring-ish fights. More so, the last 2 rounds of the main event and the last round of the co-main ended up dragging it down. But still, if it wasn't with these awful judges' decisions, fans wouldn't have such a sour taste in their mouth. And the disrespect, absolute disrespect. UFC 283, the vacant light heavyweight title between Jamal Hill and Glover Teixeira. If you would have said Glover Teixeira and Magomed, okay. Glover Teixeira and Jan, Jamal? I like Jamal. He does not get a title shot yet. That's too soon. That's too soon. What? I don't know. That's just pure disrespect to Magomed. Pure disrespect. If Magomed leaves the UFC right now, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. If I was Magomed, I'd probably just take my money and leave. I honestly probably would just take my money and just say, forget it. Screw you guys. I'm done. Jan, I guess, does not want to fight. What the hell? What is that? Just overall, it was a good card, mired by the ending. I still think it was the 4th best card of the year. It was still pretty solid. I'm just going to, Whatever the case is, this has been Gomi. Bye-bye.